never intended to collect it in the first place. Besides, the one who killed the monster wasn't him. It was me. This is where we part ways. I'm sorry. I have to decline your company. I prefer to travel alone. I meet his gaze. That's alright, and thank you for everything you've taught me. He gives me an easy, warm smile. Take care of yourself out there. You too. I hope we meet again someday. And so I watch Kane's figure fade into the distance. It isn't until much later that I realize why I respected Kane so much. I never lacked for a mother's love, but deep down, I always longed for a father figure. A few days after parting with Kane, the road leads me to a barren wasteland. Fine dust hangs in the air, making it hard to see ahead. That's when I spot a group of traveling merchants. I decide to approach them and ask for directions. I walk up and ask how to get to the nearest city. The elderly man at the front tells me to head back the way they came, and I'll reach a city called Murray. I thank him and start to leave, but before I can take 2 steps, they call out to stop me. You got what you needed and you're just going to walk off? Don't you think you owe us something in return? The words barely leave his mouth before the men around me draw their blades, demanding I drop the stuffed pack on my back. I look at them, genuinely puzzled. Is this a robbery? And what if it is? The leader says. This is the wasteland. A few deaths out here mean nothing, so while we can still talk this out, drop the pack. Don't make us kill you first and strip you after. That gets messy. At that, my eyes go cold. In that instant, everything Kane taught me comes rushing back. I smile at them. What? Are you volunteering to be my practice? The group bursts out laughing. Did you hear this lunatic? He thinks he's some kind of wizard. I raise my hand slowly. The moment I utter the word wind, their bodies are hurled into the air. I think to myself, Kane's lessons really do work. This way uses less mana. Such a small amount of mana, and yet, a wind powerful enough to send men flying. Then I uncap my canteen and use mana to draw the water out. I spread it out, then freeze it solid. A ring of ice spikes forms around me. The bandits stare in horror, but before any of them can run, the ice spikes drive straight through them. Just as I'm about to keep going, the bandit leader scrambles to surrender. He says they had no idea I was a wizard and begs for forgiveness, but his words are barely out before his men rush me from behind, weapons raised. I lift my right foot, then I slam it down. Spikes of earth erupt around me and drive through their bodies. The bandit leader goes pale. How is this possible? How are they dead already? I tell him I have a question. After that one-sided fight, the bandit leader has no fight left in him. He drops to his knees and says he'll answer anything. I ask him, why did they attack me for no reason? Did it never occur to them that a lone traveler might be a wizard? He answers immediately, because you bowed your head. Even when we spoke to you like that, you still lowered your head and thanked us, so we assumed you were just an ordinary person. I thank him for that. It taught me something valuable. A flicker of hope crosses his face. Then, will you let me go? But the words aren't even finished before he sees water droplets gathering above his head, because Kane had told me that once my journey began, I would meet all kinds of people. But for those who prey on others, parasites like them, I must never go soft. A life spared out of pity could go on to harm 10 or 100 innocent people, so I don't hesitate. I kill him. I follow the tracks their cart left behind and press on. My mind is turbulent. I have killed people. Guilt stirs in me, but I could not have let them go. Kane's warning echoes in my head. People who rob and kill without a second thought for profit, they will always find their next target. The cart tracks fade into the desert scrub as weeds reclaim the earth, and as I recall Kane's teachings, the storm inside me slowly settles. Then I step into a new world. My face goes wide with wonder. So this is Murray, the city the bandit leader mentioned? I stare around like a wide-eyed newcomer taking in a whole new world. It's the first time I've ever seen so many people gathered in one place. In these buildings, nothing like the ones back in the village. The unfamiliar surroundings leave me unsure of my next move. Then Kane's words come to me, clear as day. He had told me that whenever I arrived somewhere new and needed rest, I should find an inn. Every village and city would have one. So I turn and approach the fruit stall nearby. The vendor greets me politely, asking what I need. But the moment he realizes I'm not there to buy anything, his attitude does a complete 180. He tells me to get out of his way if I'm not buying. I'm genuinely baffled. Why is he so rude? Is there some unspoken rule in the city that you have to buy fruit before asking a question? I point to the apples beside him and ask the price. The moment I pull out coins, his tone softens. You look like you're not from around here. Something you want to ask? I press a silver coin into his palm and ask where I can find an inn. He says to follow the road behind the cloak shop, go straight, then turn left. I'll see a building with a blue roof. That's the biggest inn in the city. When I arrive at the inn, I'm greeted by a staff member named Lena, who welcomes me with a warm smile. I ask how much it costs to stay for one night. She clasps her hands together with a bright smile. 16 dubits. I count out the amount and hand it over. Then I ask if there are any bounties nearby for hunting monsters. The reason I ask is simple. I need to hunt monsters and absorb their mana. And Kane had mentioned that taking on bounties was also a way to earn money. She goes quiet. I press her. She smiles. Nothing in this world is free, sir. I hand her some coins. She tells me that to take on bounties, I should go to the town hall. It handles all public affairs, and everyone who works there is employed by the city lord. The sun's already down, so it's probably closed for the night. If you want a monster bounty, head there tomorrow. Lena then asks, curious, whether I'm a monster hunter. I have no idea what she means by that. She explains, ordinary people who kill monsters can supposedly become wizards. So are you hoping to become one? Though honestly, that's just a rumor people spread to fool the gullible. At that moment, a hand lands on my shoulder. A man's voice cuts in. Those rumors are true. Becoming a wizard by killing monsters. I've seen it with my own eyes. Lena stares stares at him in disbelief. Midan, you're still alive? Midan grins. Haven't I told you? I'm not dying until I become a wizard. I lift his hand off my shoulder. I ask him, is it really true that killing monsters can turn an ordinary person into a wizard? He tells me that wizards must kill monsters to grow stronger. By the same logic, an ordinary person who kills monsters can become a wizard too. The four of us are out hunting monsters, all to become powerful wizards. I ask him, has anyone actually succeeded? Hardly, he says. In this whole city, only the Lord and his 3 subordinates are wizards. Then he looks me over. You said you want to hunt monsters? With that gear? That's rough. I don't argue. He's not wrong. My only weapon is a slingshot, good for launching things roughly the size of an egg, but he invites me anyway. Says their team is short a shooter, and if I'm interested, I'm welcome to join their hunt. I decline, straight up. There's no reason I need to hunt with them. I lie back on the bed and go over everything that happened today. The world out there is chaotic. Even now, I can hardly believe I've actually left the village. It fills me with curiosity about everything still to come. Then comes a knock at the door. I sit up and ask who's there. Before we parted, Cain had warned me never to let my guard down, not even inside an inn. A city is not an absolutely safe place, so he had drilled it into me, always proceed with caution. I take no chances. Mana gathers in my left hand as my right reaches for the door. The moment it swings open, I find Lena standing there. She asks if I was asleep, saying she worried the room might be a little cold and thought she'd come keep me warm. I stare at her. What exactly do you mean by that? She says it means exactly what it sounds like. A little coin and she'll do anything. I tell her I don't want anything. She tells me to stop lying. She can tell just by looking at my face, but when she looks up and meets my eyes, she finds me utterly unmoved. My resolve as steady and silent as a monk in deep meditation. It stops her cold. And yes, this too was Cain's warning. He had told me to always be cautious with women of this kind at inns. Most of them carry disease. A wizard's constitution is strong enough that it poses no real threat, but once contracted, it could be passed on to other girls. So Cain had reminded me again and again, don't let desire push me into something I'll regret. This makes me think, life in a big city really is something else. First the fruit vendor, now Lena. I never imagined that even a scrap of information or a simple conversation would come with a price tag. This city is a cold place. Just then, my sharp ears catch sounds drifting in from the stairwell. Someone is talking to Midan. Hey, why did you want to bring that guy along earlier? Honestly, he didn't look like he'd be much use. Another voice joins in, right? The guy was pretty full of himself too. Maybe he'd work as bait for the monsters. But Midan's voice is different. He reminded me of myself when I was young. So when I heard he wanted to hunt monsters with that weapon, I got a little worried. I can't do much, but at least I can help him live a little longer. Lying there on the bed, taking all of this in, I realize this city may not be as cold as it seems. The next day, I head to the town hall Lena mentioned. The clerk on duty looks up as I approach and asks what I need. I tell him I'm here to take on a bounty. I want to hunt monsters. Cain had told me this too. This world has no obligation to be kind to anyone. If you want people to treat you well, let people know you're a wizard. Ordinary people will bow to you. The town hall clerk hands me the bounty sheet then, adds flatly, you come into this world with nothing, and you leave it the same way. As I look over the sheet, the clerk clearly doubts I'll actually manage to kill a monster. Still, he reminds me, if I do kill a monster, bring the body back into the city. If a wizard doesn't clear the remaining mana, the corpse will turn into a wraith. By city law, abandoning a monster's corpse is punishable by the highest penalty. Not that he needed to tell me. I know exactly how terrifying a monster becomes once it turns into a wraith. I have no intention of making that mistake. Still, something puzzles me. I ask, shouldn't it be the knights who handle monster hunting? He gives me a tired look. You think they have nothing better to do? A knight's duty is to maintain order within the city. Dealing with monsters outside the walls. That's what the likes of you are for. He watches me walk away, muttering under his breath. Off he goes. Looks like there'll be another body outside the walls soon. Not long after I return, with the monster from the bounty sheet, the clerk stares. That's impossible. How is this possible? How did you bring it back this fast? Did you kill it alone? I confirm it without hesitation. I ask how to collect the reward. Another clerk scrambles to the counter. Right away! He retrieves the bounty for the 3-legged crow and places it in my hand. Even after it's all done, they keep staring at the monster's body, stunned by how intact it is. They notice I haven't moved. Why are you still here? I ask if there are any other monster bounties available. They stare at me, dumbfounded. You can keep going? A few days later, Lena sets out a full spread of food, beaming with excitement. She never imagined someone like me could take down 30 monsters in just 3 days. You must have made a fortune, right? I tell her money isn't my only goal. More precisely, what I was after was the mana of those monsters. And thanks to them, I've grown considerably stronger. Compared to when I first met Cain, my mana has increased severalfold. I stare at my palm. I know I've reached my limit. If I keep hunting weak monsters for mana, I won't get any stronger. Lena's cheeks are flushed, clearly wanting to say something, but when she looks up, she finds the table nearly cleared. I may look thin, but I can eat a surprising amount. The cook is delighted. He hasn't had a chance to cook this much in a long time. Just as I finish and turn to head back to my room, a large hand grabs me by the back of the collar. The owner of that hand looks me over. Finished already? Word is you've been making good money lately. How about sharing some with the rest of us? Before he can finish, I bring my hand down like a blade across his face. He cries out instantly. I look at the group. You want money? Come and get it. Another one swings a fist at me. Don't get too cocky. I dodge and drive a heavy punch back into him. The first man rages, snatching up a stool and swinging it at my head, but it doesn't reach me. I catch it midair with one hand. hand. Then I raise my left hand and flick my finger. A sharp snap sends him flying across the room. Right at that moment, Lena shouts at the top of her lungs, "No fighting in the inn!" Midan arrives shortly after, rushing in and offering me an apology. He says he's dealt with the two of them and promises nothing like this will happen again. Things have been tight for us lately. I think seeing you do so well made them a little jealous. He signals the two men to come and apologize. I ask if things are really that bad. He says they're just short on cash for now, but in 3 days, we probably won't be able to cover the room. Without a second thought, I pull out a pouch of coins and hand it to him. He's baffled. Why would I do this? I explain that it's to repay his kindness. He'd said he was worried about my safety and wanted to bring me along. He starts to ask how I knew that, but I cut him off. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Give me some information in return. He doesn't hesitate for a second. Gathering information is my specialty. I'll tell you everything I know. A few more days pass. By now I've decided to leave Murray after this next hunt. Midan has given me what I need to know about the next city. It's time to move on. And the information he shared turned out to be far more useful than I expected. Midan really is a good man. He may not be as experienced as Cain, but that only makes him all the more pure and kind. Just then, my nose catches something. Unease stirs in me. I can only hope I'm wrong. When I reach a tree scored with deep monster claw marks, I scan the area carefully. Then I see him. A figure slumped against the base of the trunk, soaked in blood. I stop. Isn't this one of the people from Midan's group? In an instant I know my fear was right. I look at the body. Dead for some time now. I murmur quietly, "What happened here? And where is Midan?" Then from behind another tree, a man's trembling voice breaks the silence. A rabbit. It was a rabbit. I spot it. In the distance, something crouching over another corpse feeding. The monster rabbit is covered in thick, goat-like fur. Its ears and limbs are studded with sharp fang-like protrusions. I tense up immediately. Then it launches itself at me. I hurl myself to the side. Even mid-air, I'm shocked. That speed. How was it so fast? That was almost a direct hit. The moment my feet hit the ground, I lash out with my hurting whip. My left foot steps back, and I shift into a striking stance. In a flash, the whip cracks forward. Several stones hurtle toward it, but it swats them apart with rapid, effortless strikes. I never expected this. Not just the speed, but the combat instincts. It's not just fast. It knows how to fight. It rears back, coiling its legs, and lunges at me again, but it never sees it coming. I vanish right where I stand. It skids to a halt, and I reappear directly behind it, short blade already swinging. The blade drives into its neck. I kick off and retreat in an instant. The instant I vanish again, it slams into where I just stood. Its claws tear through a tree trunk, splitting it clean in half. Then it unleashes the same assault again, over and over, wild and relentless. Suddenly a gaping hole appears in the once dense forest, but it finds no trace of me. It throws its head back and lets out a piercing shriek. Blood pours from the wound in its neck. It staggers, then finally collapses. Only then does my figure emerge in the distance. After observing it carefully, I level my palm at it, a thought flickering through my mind. In an instant, a surge of energy rises from the corpse and flows into my palm. This mana is completely different from what I absorbed before, far greater than what I took from the leopard I'd encountered the first time. Then, a voice sounds in my ear. "I can't believe it, you're a wizard, but why are you hiding your identity?" I pay it no mind. With a trace of regret, I ask him, "Which of you four needs me to deliver your belongings to your family?" He only manages a faint no before his breathing fades. I look at Midan's body lying before me. I recall what he told me before, about a great city nearby called Aurum, and within it, a place known as the library. It is said to hold tens of thousands of books, but the library isn't open to just anyone. He told me that only wizards are allowed inside. Back then I wondered if I should go there and see it for myself, but now, I've made up my mind. I will go to the great city Midan spoke of, Aurum. That warm-hearted burly man, who showed kindness even to strangers, is now gone. I can't help but feel a sense of regret. I hope he rests in peace and happiness. A few days later I arrive at a new place and join the line to enter. I once thought a place like Murray was already impressive enough, but now, something even more breathtaking stands before me. It's the great city of Aurum. Even entering the city requires standing in line, and the crowd is massive. I watch the guards at the gate checking for wanted criminals, as expected of a great city. Even the security is this thorough, I think. But when my turn finally comes, the guard actually stops me. He says he's never seen clothes this filthy before, and tells me to step aside and clean up before entering. After some time, I make my way into Aurum and find the library Midan had told me about. The awe-inspiring structure before me makes me wonder, could this have been built by magic? I spot the guard stationed at the entrance. I approach and tell him I wish to enter. The guard informs me that the library is reserved for wizards only. I explain that I am a wizard, but the guard isn't buying it. He fixes me with a suspicious glare. "How could someone like you possibly be a wizard? If you dare to impersonate one, I won't let you get away with it." The words have barely left his mouth when a surge of red mana materializes in his palm. I simply lift my gaze. A surge of overwhelming power bursts from me. In an instant, the color drains from his face. He slumps to the ground, and the other guard beside him rushes over, asking what is wrong. Only then does he realize my true power is on par with nobility. No, even higher. He scrambles to his feet, visibly shaken, and bows his head respectfully. "I am a knight of House Kenyawate. May I ask which house you belong to, my lord?" I ask if I need to state my house to enter. He says it isn't, but to use the library I would need the permission of Lord Waltus. What I hadn't expected, though, was that obtaining Lord Waltus's permission, which I had been told was a simple formality, would turn out to be far more than I had bargained for. Entirely unused to being waited on, I turn to the maids and say, "You can stop. I'll wash up myself." They shrink back nervously, and explain that they will face severe punishment if they fail to properly attend to a distinguished guest. Hearing that, I awkwardly relent and let them carry carry on. Before long, the maids tending to me are staring with wide, startled eyes. I ask if there is something on my face. They quickly bow and say, "Please forgive us, my lord. We were momentarily lost in admiration. You are simply far too handsome. Not one for noble airs." I tell them not to think anything of it. Just then, a door at the far end of the room opens, and two figures walk toward me. The petite girl at the front sizes me up and speaks first. "So you're the guest who looked like a beggar? Clean you up, and you've almost got the air of a prince." I introduce myself first. "My name is Turan." She gives me hers in return, Angela. She then asks which house I belong to. I tell her that for personal reasons I'd rather not say. She seems a little disappointed. "Hiding your true identity, huh? Then let me have a little fun." Without warning, a powerful surge of mana erupts from her body. She wants to see just how strong I really am. But in the very next instant, an equal force rises around me, matching her blow for blow. Angela's guard instantly steps in front of the maids, shielding them. When both surges of power fade, I let out a helpless sigh, but Angela lets out a sharp gasp. She can't believe it. Even after taking a moment to recover, her hand is still trembling. Then she looks at me with a smile spreading across her face. "Would you like to marry me?" she asks. The question leaves me completely dumbfounded. Seeing me stand there in silence, Angela grins mischievously. "Relax. It was just a joke. Why so flustered?" Her guard can only look on helplessly. Still, she adds that I should think it over. She still has an open spot by her side. With that, she turns and walks away. As her figure disappears into the distance, I finally lower my gaze. My own hand, just like hers, is trembling slightly. So her mana is on par with mine, but I have no idea if that's normal for a wizard. Not long after, I am brought before Ruge Waltus, the city lord of Aurum. He had already been informed of my purpose, so he simply asked for my name. After a brief introduction from me, he says plainly, "Many people have been flocking here lately after hearing strange rumors, but the truth is, the library holds no ancient magic of wonder, nor any secret method for enhancing mana." I tell him I have no problem with that. Satisfied with my answer, he readily agrees. He adds that it is already late, and suggests I rest for the night and visit tomorrow. The next day, the two guards stationed at the library greet me respectfully and invite me inside. As the doors swing open, the moment I look up, I am met with the most breathtaking sight I have ever seen in my life. At the center of the tower-shaped library, a winding staircase spirals endlessly upward, twisting past row upon row of shelves and mountains of ancient texts, all the way to where a shaft of light pours down from the vaulted ceiling above. I can't help but breathe out in awe. "So this is the library." Just then a voice comes from beside me. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Turan. I am the librarian here. Lord Waltus mentioned your visit and asked me to walk you through the rules of this place." Her words catch me off guard. How could a child be the librarian of a place like this? But she continues without missing a beat. "The rules are simple, just two. First, any damage must be paid for in full. Second, no books may be taken outside. So I'll be keeping an eye on you the whole time you're here." Taking her attitude and words in, I agree without hesitation, adding a request. "Fine, but could you stand a bit farther away while I read? It makes me a bit uncomfortable." "Since you're the librarian, I suppose you've read all the books here," she answers with complete confidence. "Of course. Finding books is what I do best. Ask me anything you need." "So what kind of book are you looking for? Romance? History? Or maybe, because you're still so young, something a little spicy?" I fall silent for a moment. Then I tell her I want to learn the basics, knowledge about the world. In just a moment, she brings back an enormous pile of books. "Many of the books here are hundreds of years old," she says. "I'm not sure if they're right for you, but this selection should help." I thank her. I reach into the pile and pull out a book at random. My fingertips trace the rough cover. The coolness beneath its warmth gives me a small start. So this is what a book feels like. As I begin to flip through the pages, I find myself more and more amazed by this thing called a book. After that, I spent every day doing the same thing, reading quietly in the library. Book after book, I gradually came to understand the geography of this world, the ways different races lived, the etiquette of wizards, the methods of crafting and processing all manner of things. Even the monsters and ruins of the old era became familiar to me. As knowledge accumulated, the world before my eyes, once nothing but a fog of chaos and unknowns, began to grow clearer, piece by piece. Mountains and rivers gained names, races gained histories. Even the wind brushing past my cheeks seemed to carry secrets I could now begin to read. When Lord Ruge meets me again, he nods approvingly. "It seems you've made good use of the library." I don't deny it. He goes on. "I hope you understand. My reasons for granting you access went beyond simply recognizing you as a noble. There was also a measure of goodwill involved. Naturally, I hope that goodwill is returned." Hearing this, I ask what he needs from me. He tells me that a monster has appeared to the north of Aurum preying on travelers. He had previously sent 4 knights to deal with it, but every one of them was devoured. What he needs now is a noble to handle it personally. Right now, only 2 members of his house are available. This is what he wants in return. He asks if there's anything I need in exchange. I tell him I don't need anything. Still, something feels off. A noble rank wizard would not typically get involved in something like this. Noticing my expression, he explains that the monsters have blocked the northern road, Aurum's most vital trade route. It has been 10 days now, and he wants it cleared as quickly as possible. Suddenly it all makes sense. 10 days ago, I hadn't even arrived in Aurum yet, so that's why he granted me access to the library so readily. The next day, I march out of the city gates with the group. At the front, Angela lazily stretches her arms above her head. "Father really is one of a kind, dragging a guest along to hunt monsters. Are we really that unreliable?" Then she glances at me and clarifies that she isn't blaming me. She just thinks her father is overreacting. The person beside her looks like he wants to say something, but Angela shoots him a sharp look and he immediately falls silent. The man then turns to me and gives a quick introduction. His name is Marvin Waltus. But just then, Angela is idly kicking at pebbles by her feet, muttering that she just wants to get this over with and go rest. Marvin, standing beside me, asks if I have any interest in his sister. I say no. A smile crosses his face. Good to hear, that's a relief. Suddenly, the scouts at the front report something ahead. When we look, we find a wrecked wagon. The scouts deduce that the monster likely left this here intentionally, a warning to stop anyone from heading north. I examine the scene for a moment. A handprint on the wrecked wood tells me exactly what we're dealing with. I tell the group, it's a monkey. Angela looks puzzled behind me. I point to the handprint. It attacked the merchants and retreated into the forest. If we find its trail and follow it, we should be able to track it down quickly. Neither Angela nor Marvin seems capable of tracking. I pick up a scrap of cloth from the wreckage and tell them I can give it a shot. Angela perks up immediately. Is that your bloodline ability? I simply tell her I'm just more practiced at tracking than most. With that, I bring the cloth up to my nose. In an instant, I pick up the monster's trail. I point in a direction and tell them to head that way. Before long, we reach a stream. I speak up again. The monster stopped here. It must have washed itself. Angela is visibly surprised. A monster washing itself to throw off a tracker? I tell her it probably just wanted to wash up. Right at that moment, I spin around, my voice rising sharply. Watch out, behind you! In an instant, a massive monkey erupts from the trees with a furious roar. It grabs a handful of rocks, and as the soldiers scramble in panic trying to dodge, it hurls them in an instant. 7 or 8 soldiers go down in a single blow. I dart aside, slipping past the flying rocks. When the barrage lets up, I glance over to where Angela is. Both Marvin and Angela have used the soldiers to shield themselves to block the attack. Then they toss the soldiers aside like trash. Their actions only confirm what I already suspected. Mother was right after all. Angela shouts for everyone to attack, and the moment the words leave her mouth, the remaining soldiers charge with weapons raised. But before they can even reach the monster, the monkey turns and bolts in the opposite direction. Angela and Marvin immediately give chase without hesitation, but the monkey is simply too fast. They can't keep up. Suddenly, Angela flinches as something streaks past her at incredible speed. A small stone shoots in from the rear, punches clean through the monkey's chest. Both wizards spin around at the same moment to look back, and standing there is none other than me, cracking a long whip, my expression icy and detached. Only then does Angela finally snap back to reality. She raises her right hand and murmurs a single word. Flame! Fire surges from her body, converging into her palm. In moments, the roaring blaze takes the shape of a massive serpent, which lunges and sinks its jaws into the already wounded monkey. With a thunderous boom, the inferno swallows the monster whole. So that is the fire magic bloodline of House Waltus, I think. The soldiers around us all breathe a collective sigh of relief. Finally, it's over. Angela turns to look at me. That stone flying past us just now sent chills down our spines. Marvin raises an eyebrow. Were you scared? Angela tells him to shut up. He was the one screaming like a little girl. The soldiers begin tending to themselves. The monster's earlier attack left every one of them injured. Some have lost entire arms in the blast. Looking at the grim scene, I think we were lucky. Could have been worse. The only two who actually died were the soldiers Angela and Marvin used as shields. The thought makes me look over at them. A wizard's body is far more resilient than an ordinary soldier's, and yet they didn't hesitate to use those weaker than themselves as shields. Is this what Mother always talked about? Marvin seems to notice my gaze and asks if something is wrong. I tell him it's nothing. Angela overhears and waves me over to join them in absorbing mana. The three of us extend our hands toward the charred remains of the monster. As I absorb some of the mana from the corpse, I confirm what the books had described. Just as written, even when multiple people absorb mana from a single corpse at once, the mana remaining in it doesn't diminish at all. Before long, both Angela and Marvin hit the limit of how much they can absorb. When they turn to see me still absorbing, it dawns on them why their father had wanted me along. That level of spellcasting earlier. A mana capacity that rivals Angela's own. Just thinking about it is astonishing, and I haven't even reached my growth limit as a noble yet. As the sun sinks toward the horizon and dusk settles in, we return to the domain of Aurum. On the way back, Marvin remarks that without me, they never would have defeated that monster. From the initial tracking to felling the monster with a single stone, I had been the pivot of every crucial moment. I simply wave it off. It's no big deal. My only regret is spotting it so late that it got the jump on us. I hadn't expected the creature to have tracking abilities of its own. Marvin looks taken aback. Tracking abilities? I explain that you can tell what abilities a monster has awakened just by its features. The monkey we killed had oversized hands and red eyes, completely unlike its natural form. That points to awakened abilities, enhanced striking power and long-range perception, possibly even the ability to see through dense forest. Marvin is genuinely surprised. You figured all that out already? I tell him I simply read one book on monsters while I was in the library. They both look stunned. That place is dead boring. Who would go there? Angela admits she had visited once out of curiosity, but the dense texts inside drove her out before she could even finish half a volume. I suggest that next time they ask the librarian, she might be able to find something easier for them. But the word librarian gives Angela pause. She touches her chin and thinks for a moment. Then she asks me if there is really such a person in the library. I return to the library again. The moment I open the door, the librarian greets me me with a beaming smile. Welcome back, Tehran. And that's when it hits me. I had been far too careless. No knight or commoner would ever address a noble by name like that. In this city, the only proper way to address a noble is my lord or my lady, and come to think of it, she doesn't look like a librarian at all. I ask her how she knows my name. Upon hearing this, a slight smile plays on her lips. She leans back against the table. You're only noticing now? I learned your name from your entry permit. Within the bounds of this library, nothing escapes my sight. Hearing that, I ask what I should call her. She says she doesn't actually have a name, so I can call her whatever I like. Maybe something cute, like my darling. I look at her flatly. Then I'll stick with librarian. She asks why I'm suddenly being so formal. It's making her uncomfortable. You've been bossing me around for days. As she leans closer, I step back a few paces. I never did any such thing. And stop getting so close. It makes me uncomfortable. Then I add, I've been wondering, are you a wizard from the old era? At my question, she gives me an answer. I was never human to begin with. Think of me more as a soul. If I inhabit a living creature, I become a living being. If I dwell in something neither alive nor dead, I become a specter. In other words, this library is my body. This form I take now is only for communication. Its appearance is shaped by the preferences of whoever I interact with. So your preferences must lean toward... She doesn't get to finish. I cut her off. Don't twist things. I take a closer look at her. After a moment, I reach out and push my hand through her body. She blinks, visibly confused. Where exactly were you just touching? That is weird. I catch myself and apologize, embarrassed, but it brings something unpleasant to mind for her. You have no idea how frustrating it is to not be able to touch anything. If I could, I'd personally punish every careless fool who has ever walked out of here with a stolen book. Her words confirm my suspicion. So House Waltus has no idea you exist. Actually, neither does anyone who has ever used this library. She doesn't deny it in the slightest. Not a single one of them has ever been qualified to even sense my presence. My creator placed a restriction on me. Only those whose type has reached a certain level of completeness can perceive me. Doesn't it feel a little romantic that I exist only for you to see? The word type leaves me confused. I ask what she means, and she explains, it's simply what wizards call bloodlines. The word bloodline sparks something in me, and I ask if she can tell me what my own bloodline is. She starts to suggest I ask my parents, but I tell her I'm an orphan. At that, she licks the corner of her mouth and says, if you'll allow me to examine your body, I can take a look. The words make me stumble back 2 steps. My reaction draws a strange little smile from her. The next moment, she reaches her small hand into my body. She probes around, muttering strange things under her breath. After a long moment, she finally says, there are a few minor traces, but the dominant bloodline is that of trackers and hunters. So this is the mark of House Sahar. Then she senses something else. It's a mixed bloodline? I ask what mixed means. She explains that it means I am born from 2 different bloodlines. She can't identify the second one though, because it's locked. She tells me that locked bloodlines in a mixed combination aren't uncommon. As I grow stronger, it will unlock on its own. Her words make me think of my mother. Given her refinement and impeccable manners, my mother could never have been a commoner. She must have come from a noble lineage, her bloodline perhaps so diluted that it could no longer sustain even a knight's level of mana. Having understood most of it, I thank her sincerely. She responds by saying if I'm truly grateful, I should stay another month. Now that I know the library spirit's true nature, I no longer read on my own and instead begin asking her about the contents of the books. Far from minding, she patiently answers every question I have. During this time, I come to realize that the librarian's knowledge goes far beyond anything contained within this place. All the knowledge from books lost over the past 1,000 years has been etched into her mind. For me, this knowledge is nothing short of priceless. Through her, I learned that many illnesses are caused by microorganisms, and that the decay of living things is driven by bacteria feeding on them. More than that, I begin to grasp the fundamental principles behind various phenomena, the refraction of light, the generation of heat through friction, and the processes by which living beings are injured and heal. With this knowledge, I prepare to test it out, the onset of decay. I press my fingertip lightly against an apple in front of me. Within moments, the apple begins to rot. The sight is nothing short of astonishing. This isn't beyond the reach of existing magic, but understanding the underlying principle can cut the mana cost dramatically. The world I see now is entirely different from the one I saw before, and that, in turn, has quietly elevated my abilities as a wizard. Perhaps this is why certain powerful houses choose to monopolize such knowledge. If every wizard had access to it, they would lose their competitive edge. My words seem to spark something in the librarian. No wonder, she says. People's understanding has only declined over time. At that moment, I tell her it's time for me to leave. The master of this place has been dropping obvious hints, telling me to leave. At that, she cries out and begs me to take her with me. I watch her dramatically collapse to the floor. Can you actually leave this place? She admits she can't, but she wants me to stay. If I don't leave, she promises to take very good care of me. I turn her down. She puffs up in frustration and drifts away to the side. She tells me that ruins of the ancient gods lie scattered across this land and suggests I explore them. There, I might encounter spirits far more knowledgeable than her. I push open the library door and tell her I'll be back. She doesn't turn around. Come if you want, don't if you don't. I look back and tell her not to worry. I still have so many books left to finish. After that, I walk out of this great city. According to the map I obtained from the library, the territory of House Sahar lies within the Emerald Desert to the east of Orem. That will be my next destination. I will find the answers I need about my parents there.